We'll get a little bit more granular here in this video by talking about average cost, revenue, and profit, along with marginal average cost, revenue, and profit. But before we jump into those definitions, I want to think more generally about how we calculate the average of a data set here. So if we're looking for an average, you would take your numbers, right, and you would total them all up. So you would add all of them together, and then you would divide that by the number of values or the number of numbers that you added together in the first place. And this is exactly how we find the average cost. We take the total cost, which is C of x here. So I would take the total cost of, let's say, producing 300 units, and then divide that by the number of units that I've manufactured, which in this case would be 300. So you divide that by the total number of units that you've manufactured. This would tell you the average cost per unit at this particular production level. And the way we refer to average cost, this value right here, we read that as C bar of x. So it's a C bar of x equals the total cost, C of x, divided by x. Average revenue, R bar of x, and average profit, P bar of x, defined very, very similarly. We just take the total revenue or profit divided by x. The marginal average cost, let's talk about that one a little bit more though, because this one is a little bit trickier. If I'm looking for the marginal average cost, this says C bar prime of x. So really there's two steps. If you're trying to jump straight to the marginal average cost function, you first of all need to find C bar of x. Or you might think about that as divide your total cost C of x by x if you want to kind of simplify or give yourself a little bit more concrete directions here. So you would find C bar of x, and then once you have that, then take the derivative of that function of C bar of x. So you cannot switch the order of these two things. I can't take the derivative of my cost function first and then divide by x. I will get the wrong answer here. So it's really, really important that we start by dividing our cost function by x, find that C bar of x, and then you take the derivative. Those two things, you can't switch the order of them, so we have to do those in order. So let's look at this last example in this section. Part A says find the average profit per grill if 40 grills are produced. And oops, I forgot to read the example here. It says the total profit from the sale of X gas grills is P of X equals 20X minus 0.02X squared minus 320. Here, this piece right here, 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 1,000, that's just telling us the domain of our profit function. For our purposes in these problems, we don't really need to do anything with the domain here. So if I'm looking for the average profit per grill, I'm looking for, well, what is P bar of x? So I know that P bar of x, first of all, is P of x divided by x here. So I'm going to take my profit function, which is 20x minus 0.02x squared minus 320, take that and divide it by x here. So I have my average profit function, and I could, if I wanted to, I could go and simplify this, or you could just leave it for now. There's nothing to say that you have to simplify this here. And now I want to take this average profit function and plug in x equals 40, evaluate it at x equals 40. So I'm really looking for now what is P bar of 40. So I'll plug 40 in for x and evaluate my function here. So 20 times 40 minus 0.02 times 40 squared minus 320, all divided by 40 here. And so you might want to have your graphing calculator. I certainly do, because I don't trust my mental math here. Times 40 squared minus 320, that whole thing divided by 40. Here I've got 11.2, and now we're talking about this in terms of dollars and cents, right? So I want to talk about this as $11.20. So the average average profit per grill in this case is $11.20. That's how much I'm making on average for each grill that I manufacture and sell. Part B says find the marginal average profit at a production level of 40 grills and then interpret these results. So I need to start this problem first by finding P bar prime of X. I need to find the derivative. So I'm looking for the derivative of this function right here. But the problem is I can't take the derivative of that function as it's currently written because I have division and I don't know how to take the derivative of a function that involves division or multiplication. So I need to simplify it here. So let's just rewrite P bar of X. I'm going to take each one of these terms in my numerator and divide them by X. So I'm going to separate this as 20x over x minus 0.02x squared divided by x minus 320 divided by x. So let's see here. I've got 20x minus 0.02x minus, this is really 320 over x. And I could just leave it like that, but I know I want to take the derivative, and I can't take the derivative while that x lives in the denominator, so I'm going to rewrite that as minus 320x to the minus 1 power here. Oops, you know what? Here, let me catch this mistake here. I forgot to cancel my x right here, so let me make sure that I do that. I apologize. So I have my average profit function. I need to now take the derivative, so P bar prime of x. Derivative of 20, I know that's just going to be 0. Derivative of negative 0.02x, that should be negative 0.02. Here, again, be very, very careful with this negative 320x to the minus 1 power. So I'm going to start by multiplying by my power, so negative 320 times negative 1 gives me a positive 320x, and then I subtract 1 for my power. I should have to the minus 2 power. Now you could leave your answer like this, or if you wanted to, we could say negative 0.02 plus 320 over x squared. I think that this is easier to work with algebraically because the next part of our problem, we want to take x equals 40 and evaluate this function at x equals 40. We're going to plug that in. So I think it's just a little bit easier to work with when we want to evaluate this function at different numbers. So P bar prime of 40, we'll take 40, plug this in for x here, negative 0.02 plus 320 divided by 40 squared. So here I've got, let's see, 320 divided by 40 squared minus 0.02. I've got 0.18 and a positive 0.18. Again, I really want to pay attention to the sign. So the last thing I need to talk about then is what does this number mean exactly? So I want to start by, again, referencing that production level, just like we did earlier. I'm going to say at a production level of 40 grills, and so now I want to think about what does this value represent here. When we talk about marginal average, this is the rate of change, because that's what the derivative tells us. It tells us the rate of change of, well, what did we take the derivative of? Of the profit function right here. It's the rate of change of the, the average profit function, the rate of change of the average profit function. So this, if I want to talk about my interpretation down here, it says at a production level of 40 grills, the average profit, because that's what's changing. It's not the total profit now, it's the average profit, is, in this case, we have a positive 18, is increasing by 18 cents per grill, or per unit. So my profit is increasing by this amount. So really the interpretation is going to look mostly the same. It's really just sneaking in this word average because we're talking about average profit rather than the total profit here. Lastly, part C here, it says use the results of parts A and B to estimate the average profit per grill if 41 grills are produced. So let's think about what we know here for just a moment. So we know for the average, let me write this out. The average profit for 40 grills, we found that in part A. We said that was $11.20. We also said in part B that at this production level of 40 grills, the average profit is increasing by $0.18 or 18 cents per grill. So I also know that the average profit is increasing by 18 cents per grill. So if I want to add in one more grill, so if I want to estimate the average cost of 41 grills, the average cost of 41 grills, I really just want to add on one more grill. Well, how much is my profit changing by? Well, it's increasing by 18 cents per grill. So I'm going to take my baseline average profit of $11.20 and add on my 18 cents that my average profit is increasing by. So $11.20 plus 18 cents, I should have $11.38. Now this is not exactly the average cost. I can't say that this is equal to that, but what I can say is this is approximately what it would be. It would be approximately $11.40. That's the number I would expect it to be around. It's not an exact answer. If you wanted to find an exact answer, we could. We would take 41 and plug that into your average profit. So you would take P bar of 41 and evaluate that if you'd like. So you can do that on your own. You'll end up finding that the value that you end up with should be very, very close to $11.38.